Welcome, everyone, to another Mapping It Out Wednesday. I'm so excited. I'm going to bring Akila Davis, our motivational mastery mentor, to the stage. Hi, Akila.
Hi, Marie. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm really excited about our next guest. I'm excited for a couple of reasons. One, just because she's a lovely person that I'm just getting to know that's in the community. And then two, I love just the uniqueness of her business. So we're talking about Marilyn Whitty, and she is, which I love this, her business is around career health and wellness, which
Yes.
I can't wait for her to tell us more about this because it's such a unique blending, and I'm super excited. So without further ado, let's bring her out, right, Akila?
Absolutely.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome, Marilyn.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And sorry, as Marie was saying today, that your focus and your career is very different from everyone else's. And what I would love for you to talk about, because for me, you are very authentic because you have traveled this journey yourself. You're not saying something, you have lived it. So, could you tell us a little bit about your journey to where you are today?
Yeah, of course. I'll start just with an introduction. So, hi, I'm Marilyn. I'm the founder of Vitality with Marilyn, where I help leaders and professionals prioritize their wellness without sacrificing their careers. There seems to be this unwritten rule that in order to progress and to grow in your career, you must make sacrifices, including your own wellness. And I refuse to believe that that's the only way. So, my focus is what I call career wellness, and it's about helping people find ways to feel good, have energy, and staying consistent so they can thrive in both professional and personal life by harmonizing their career aspiration with their wellness goals. So to go back to like my story of how I came about, so I've been very career driven my whole life, very focused on career goals and career growth. So the people I work with is basically who I am and who I've been. I have struggled with my wellness. So back in 2021, sorry, I've decided to turn things around, and to really focus on my wellness. I had a few wake up calls, and it just at that point was quite clear that I needed to prioritize my health. All that had led me like a lot of pain, a lot of discomfort. I was quite overweight at the time, and my chronic migraines were kind of getting in the way of my career. So then I decided to find solution. And when I realized that it was the way I was going about, pouring myself into work and how I was managing my stress related to work and all that, that actually made me unwell. That was an interesting time and realization. So I put in the work. I rolled up my sleeve and decided this wasn't going to be how I was going to be showing up as a mom, as a partner, as a leader. So I ended up focusing on my health and my wellness, got really into fitness, exercise, eating healthy. So I lost 90 pounds in 10 months and got a hold of ways to manage my chronic migraines, which were stemming from issues in my neck, which was caused by bad posture, by stress and the way I hold stress. Worked with a lot of professionals, including coaches and so on. And all the while after when I had reached my success, I was like wondering, why was I able to do it this time? Because it wasn't the first time I tried to lose weight. It wasn't the first time that I wanted to move more. And like, I've always had those values of wellness. Wellness is important, but why was this time possible? And I've done a lot of self discovery and so much work. And really, I peeled it back and drove it home to working with a coach, a leadership coach. It wasn't a wellness coach. And she was fantastic. But what happened during those coaching sessions is I got to understand myself on a deeper level, and be compassionate to myself, and really focus on my strengths and what I could bring, both in a leadership role and also just at me as a person. And really, motivational maps was a tool that was used early on in my coaching with this fantastic coach, and it really struck me as something fantastic. And I have been in the HR world. I'm an HR leader for over 20 years. So I've seen many psychometric tests. I've seen a lot of assessments. I've seen many, and I've done them, and I've always loved gaining insight. But motivational maps was nothing like any of them. It was a self-awareness piece, but it was also a tool every time I struggled and to kind of reach some of my objectives within my coaching program. We could go back to the motivational maps and understand why that would be challenging so that we could keep tweaking the plans. It is rich as information of like what is happening right now in your life and what's propelling you forward, what's motivating you to take action and to keep on a path. So that is really, like, I attribute a lot of my success to having the support of professionals and experts, and going back to the foundation that I built through one-on-one coaching with in the leadership coaching, leveraging the motivational maps as a key tool for that insight to kind of help navigate things. So it is a complex thing to harmonize wellness and career goals, especially as a driven, dedicated professional and people in leadership position. But it is possible. It's kind of like looking at those key drivers to understand why you've been going about your life the way you have, and how you can build a plan and integrate what's actually natural to you. So it's about building plans that are set up for success, and not kind of a one size fits all structure.
So you really do attribute the self-awareness of what drives you, what brings you energy, to how you were able to become healthy.
Yeah, the wellness is a foundation, and I thought I had a successful career before, but it never felt good. It never felt right. It never felt like I was doing enough. And when you're focusing and building that foundation, so that foundation, that base that you have, your core, if you're looking at a house, or even the pyramid from Maslow theory, like you need your basic needs met. You need a solid foundation to build, to be able to self-actualize. If we're talking about Maslow's, to be able to really be as good as you can be, you need that strong foundation. And of course, like my wellness, like the what I've gained, we can say confidence, but what I've gained in my life is tenfold. Like I can't even explain how it feels today versus 3 years ago. I feel hopeful. I feel energized in a way, and I feel compelled to do these kinds of sessions to speak to people. I feel now a sense of purpose to help people to feel the way that I do, feel confident, competent, like the understand the positive impact they can have on the world. And wellness is broad, but it's the key. It's really a foundation. Movement and all that is just so intricately intertwined with how we can perform cognitively, and like from a neuroscience perspective. It is so important to take care of our wellness, to be able to be as good as we can be in our careers in every way. So yes.
Marilyn, one of the things I love about what you're doing, it's like myself and a lot of other women I know did not come, and yourself included, ambitious, love to do things, want to be purposeful in this world. And we work as we think we should be working until our health in some way, shape, or form stops us.
Mm-hmm.
And then we sit back and go, what's going on? What's next? And in looking for that answer is when we find our true selves. And that's where motivation comes in. What is it I'm supposed to be doing that I'm not doing? I've been doing all of these things. And I think that I love what you're doing because you're helping women to find their answers before they hit the wall. Is that right?
Well, you can try. I
Mhm.
definitely try. And the sad thing is from research is that before people can do, a big change from wellness, they have to have experienced a lot of fear. They need to be scared for their health. They need to be either have experienced a health event or someone close to them having
Mhm.
experience, and that shakes you up because you go about your day and then you get sick or somebody else gets sick, and then you realize nothing matters if you're not healthy. Nothing. You can't do anything. This is the basic. You need to feel good in your life to enjoy it. And that's often, to your point, like I'm trying to be preventative. I'm trying to kind of put the message out there. But the reality is by the time I get to work with people closer is there been a lot of pain for a long time, unnecessary pain, because a lot of it, it's a matter of putting the structure and a plan that will work for you in
Yes.
order to make those changes. Like I didn't use any magic diet or exercise plan. It's a matter of having the right support and the right timing and having that foundation of belief that you can do this and you have the tools, and that you will likely hit a wall and have some setbacks and some perceived failures, but you will figure it out. It's that confidence that you can navigate this, just
Yes.
like any project that we do in the workplace, every project. And I'm like challenging leaders to looking at this and saying, have you ever had a project that went 100% according to plan? Probably not. You know where you're at, you know where you want to go, and then you have to figure things out as things unfold. So you need, like, these plans that I keep talking about. It's loosely built, and it's also kind of constantly checking in on ourselves to say, okay, it's okay that it's hard. It's supposed to be hard. Change is hard, but I'm going to continue going because I'm seeing the progress, those small incremental progress, and then I can do this. So that foundational belief that you can do it, and understanding your motivators. I mean, it's a key. It's a huge key driver.
It really is.
Marilyn, do you think that culturally, in North America, we just don't prioritize our health? We don't see it as part of uh, the bigger picture of our career?
Really good question. So I feel like systemically we're like organizations and employers and companies and all that, they're structured in such a way that is hard to thrive and to see ourselves thriving without, like I was saying, like that whole you take doing some sacrifices, and you're bound by time. And I feel like especially people in leadership, we have that pressure to perform. And what does performing mean? Means that you're there, you're there for long hours, you work hard, you deliver, you have high levels of these metrics, you hit them, right? You are judged on a daily basis, and you want to come out of this looking competent and being up for that next promotion, for whatever drives your need or your willingness to put in that time and effort. But the thing is, we only have so much amount of energy and capacity for decision making in a day. We get depleted. So you pour yourself into work, and then even though you prioritize, I think everybody knows that wellness is important. Everybody knows their health is important, that it's important to eat good, nutritious food and to move your body. Everybody knows it. They're smart, especially people I talk to and work with. The
Mhm.
thing is that we just pour ourselves so much into our work and at service of whatever our jobs are, that it is hard. And the structure that I was saying at the beginning of my answer to this question is that we have, days filled with meetings, back-to-back meetings and things like that. We know that mentally we can only really do cognitive work for 4 to 6 hours, yet we have these long days of 8 hours of meetings back to back. We know that it takes us at least like 20 minutes to really get into a topic, but we go into meetings that are 30 minutes back to back, switching topics all the time. That is mental exhaustion without knowing, right? So at the end of the day, your capacity to make the right decisions for your wellness plan, they're gone. You at the end of the day, when you're hungry, that capacity to say, I'm going to make the right choice, if it hasn't been planned out for you already, you're going to do what's easy. You're hungry, your brain remembers the last time you ate a sandwich or a pizza or whatever, like heavy carbs, that filled the need. It gave you comfort in that moment. So you were temporarily feeling good and happy. And that's what your brain and your body at that moment thinks it needs. So if you're depleted constantly. So I don't think that we don't value it. And your question was prioritizing it. It's just that it's hard to figure out how to prioritize it in a world that is kind of built in the way that is kind of counterintuitive to how we need to go about our day. So that is what my primary goal is, working with people, is saying, yes, there's all these external factors, but what do you control that will make you successful? And then the more leaders are doing those healthy changes and they're being role models, that's how you change organizational culture. That's how, when it's from the top, you have healthy leaders, you will have a healthy organization.
Yes.
I love that. That's a really great tip, for everyone, is that as leaders, we need to prioritize our own health as to set the example, and then make sure that those around us are also prioritizing our health. We're valuing that. It will increase productivity.
Yeah.
Listening to you just now, a thought came to mind, is that perhaps we as career-driven people, if we were to focus more on our energy management, the energy that we feel, and use that as a barometer for what we should be saying yes and no to, would be helpful, wouldn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And that's funny because you mentioned that, and I say leverage expert all the time, and I leverage, even mental health support. And my psychologist was saying that too. And it's like, she was kind of like all proud of me. It's like, oh, you're managing your energy, which is what I've been hoping for you, because and I came into therapy and she's like, your expectation is that you can function at 100% all the time, but that's not the reality. And I never really got a concept of energy, right? There's different ways of explaining energy. Sometimes I thought about it more spiritually. I thought about it more, kind of like, oh, I'm tired, I'm awake, have energy to move around. But what we're talking here is like how do we evaluate things in our day, tasks, or interactions that we're having? What fuels you? What actually excites you and like brings you up, fills up your cup, and what is actually difficult for you? And like what is heavier? And you find that out with your key drivers and your key motivators. It's written there. It's like, oh, right. I feel so understood when you see them there, because like when these are exactly it, is like what actually boosts you and propels you to do action where it doesn't even feel like work, and you're just talking about, or you're just doing it because you feel good doing it. And what is actually the things that you're actually looking and like, okay, you actually have to mentally say, okay, I got to get this done. I just got to get it done. And then that is actually heavier. So it's how do we navigate so that we give you the balance at the right time in the day so that your life feels good.
But isn't that one of the things that Motivational Maps helps you do? Because when it identifies let's say your top 3 motivators, if those are being met, they're energizers.
Yep.
But you also know what your demotivators are. So if you can say, okay, if I can do this and avoid this, maybe I can delegate this to somebody else who it will energize.
Yeah.
It
absolutely.
helps you to manage your day-to-day and your life.
Absolutely. And as leaders and people like and professionals that have a lot of drive, we have high expectations of ourselves and our work. There's sometimes things like, work that were like, oh no, like I'm gonna handle this, it's not that hard. But that small thing, like for me, even answering emails in HR, every time you write something, it could be brought back, oh, HR said this, right? So all that always took a lot of energy out of me, or prepping, filling out forms and things like that. But I've always felt like, oh, I shouldn't delegate, this is so small. Like even my colleagues, my people that were reporting to me, I had a lot of direct reports for a while, but I've always felt bad about delegating in certain things because I'm like, oh, I see them as equal, even though I'm the manager. And I had to like really rethink. It's about really building a system of different people. And I've always been good about leveraging people's strength. But when it came to me, I felt like I was, I didn't want to look down, like have it seem like I was looking down on certain tasks. I'm like, I'm a manager, I'm not going to do these. So it was very like conflicting with my own values to come up. But it's like, okay, we're equal, even though we have different responsibilities. So yeah, absolutely. Like for me, it's realizing what are these things that are taking a lot more energy from me than my colleague. And it also goes like, I had a colleague at one of my employers where it was a really, really, really intense work environment at that period of time. And for me, meeting with my team, and I had a lot of actually teams. I had 16 direct report at that time and 3 or 4 different sub teams. And for me, meeting with my team was my priority. And I felt if I take care of them, they'll take care of the work and everything's going to be good. And I would always get out of my team meetings or my one-on-one meetings with my staff energized because I love that interaction with people. I've always loved having a team. I loved developing a team. I love coaching a team so that they could be the best that they could. But then what would fall behind is these emails that I felt like, oh, I have like all these emails to respond. And then I'd go into this meeting and I had this coworker and I told her, I'm like, oh, wow. After each meeting you have these beautiful summary, you do all these things. I love your communication. It's so like, she's like, yeah, but and then we're talking and I was like, and then she's like, yeah, well, for me, what's falling behind is like my one-on-ones with my team meetings, because I don't get to do that. I don't get to it. So then it was quick to see, okay, we have the complete opposite kind of challenges, because for her, probably doing these notes and these summaries was less energy taking. And then for me, and we just also had it's not that she didn't value having her team meetings. It's just that we were different. And when you're looking, I'm sure if I was to do her motivational maps today, we'd see some of those motivators come through quite clearly. So for me, like even if my days was filled with one-on-ones or check-ins with my team, that was not a heavy day,
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you meant. I was telling someone the other day, I put in a 10-hour day. And at the end of the day, I was feeling energized and so satisfied because it was so productive.
Mm-hmm. And felt good.
That's what counts. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That productivity that matches what drives you, what motivates you.
Yes.
What brings you that energy, which I think is really interesting. We have a comment in the sort of chat. It says, many of us are raised to believe that our value is connected to productivity. I think that's a really true statement.
Yeah. And that's a high risk one too. Like, and I totally agree. That pressure to be productive, that pressure to be seen as competent, and that pressure, that's what is very challenging for leaders and professionals, because often the weight that we put on, like as leaders, is put on by ourselves because of the fear of not being productive, of not being seen as competent, and not being seen as doing a great job. Mm-hmm. A leadership role is very hard to be perfect at it. You'll never be perfect. There'll be criticism. There'll be things you could have done. There's no roadmap. There's very it's not a structured, you kind of have to roll with it. It's dealing with issues almost day in and day out. So you have to really develop that whole self-compassion and understanding what expectations of yourself should really be, because in terms of productivity, it's subjective, and you get to decide what a good productive day is.
And that brings me to another comment that I have seen in the workplace. Is people who don't want leadership and are not motivated to lead are promoted to leadership, and they don't feel they have the ability to say no.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
Uh,
it's hard. It's hard.
it's extremely stressful for them because
Mhm.
it's not what they want.
Yeah,
And
and yeah, sorry.
no, I was going to say, and one other thing that the world doesn't realize is that a demotivated leader cannot have a motivated team.
Absolutely. I mean, I could talk about this for so long. I mean, the idea of the leadership and how people's pathways to leadership. Um, and there is a trend of very highly skilled and devoted professionals who choose not to become leaders. It seemed to be implied before, if you wanted, like, the career path was like, oh, if you want to advance your career, you have to go into leadership. And I don't think that's the case anymore. And there's been a lot more positions that are high, like the high level professionals. And when you look at the compensation, a high level professional and a manager, their salaries are almost the same, and sometimes very comparable, and one has a lot more responsibility. So when we say some people are wisening up to the burden of leadership, but the thing is like, when you're offered a position, and you, like, you're talking, like, the example of somebody who doesn't want it, it'd be really interesting to explore why they don't want it, because there may be value in why the management team see their potential. They may not be seeing it in themselves. They may not understand the impact that they could have. There's parts of it which may be this whole pressure and this challenge of harmonizing wellness and personal life. There's a lot more concerns about work-life balance, integration. I'm not a big fan of the word balance, but it's a popular one. And this might just be it. So exploring what that is and why they don't want it, and seeing how if it's truly is stemming from a fear of being criticized or being all that, because then you can put things in place, and that's where coaching is so powerful. And sometimes managers or management just has to also accept that maybe that person, if that person doesn't want to be a leader, like you say, you can't force somebody in it, because then, that's not just that person that will feel it, is the whole team and the whole organization, because that person.
And sometimes I think it's because they feel like they don't have that skill set. And so that's the other thing, is that if we really want people to go into management, we need to help them develop those skills.
Mhm.
Yeah, and leadership development is huge, and rarely do organization provide support at the onset. And then what ends up happening is a new leader, you get in the role, you kind of try and figure out what it is that the expectations are, because it's not clear. The higher you go up in an organization, the less and less clear that the expectations seem to be. And then you kind of make up your own based on people you see, or other people, or your supervisor. So if they have those expectations of themselves, then that must be the expectations they have on me. Again, going back to the wellness, if that person works around the clock, is available all the time, barely takes a lunch, barely ever takes their vacation, and when they do, they work really hard before and after, and so on. So then that's what you're portraying as the expectation of the person. So somebody who not wanting to go into leadership because they're seeing this, they could be, smart. But to go back in leadership development, I've never met or I've never heard of an organization that would not benefit from a good leadership program. And a good leadership program is versatile, flexible, adaptable. It's not just like, oh, here's like how you delegate, how you do this, and it's a cookie cutter thing and one and done.
Yeah.
And what a wonderful way to set up a succession program as well. So you're training the next leaders.
Yeah, absolutely.
Succession planning is something, it feels sometimes like a mirage, like something like, that looks good. I haven't heard of many being fully successful, but you're correct. It's just like it's a must, it's a requirement, workforce planning as a whole. But it's like organizations, leaders, they get busy, and then kind of it goes sidetracked. But the succession of an organization's leadership and all that is extremely important. And these tools, these sessions that we do as a group and all that is huge and like so rich, so powerful in knowledge to be able to have those conversations.
Yeah. As a matter, sorry, carry on.
I was just going to say we're running close to being at time. So I want to make sure that people hear about the wonderful kickoff that you're going to be having, Marilyn. Can you share with the group a little bit about what you're planning on doing? Because I think that's going to be helpful to a lot of people.
Absolutely. So the foundation of all my work is that movement is foundational. I guess you're reusing that word. It's very, very important. So movement fuels your body, you feel good, and then you can use your brain more effectively. And I'm not talking about strenuous like hours and hours at the gym. So the Career Wellness Kickstarter program is a free program. It's coming very soon. I can share the link to get on the wait list. So the premises there is to integrate movement in your life. So anybody who has struggled with being consistent with movement, walking, and exercise, and it's very much intentionally built for leaders that are busy, so not a lot of time. So this is a 14-day by day, little bits of information, little trainings every day, 5 to 8 minutes every day, and then kind of very directed, very structured, but yet flexible. That's coming very, very soon. It's a collaboration with a kinesiologist that I've been working with for several years. So be on the lookout for that. If you're interested, please sign up for the Kickstarter, and then you will for the waitlist for the Kickstarter, and then you'll be the first ones to know when it's live and doing the open doors. Again, completely free, and that is really to help building that foundation of movement so that we can then focus on the second one, which is motivation.
What a lovely, lovely gift. And kind of piggybacking into motivation, which we'll put the link for Marilyn's wait list, as well as the link for our giveaway, which is one free motivational map assessment, one debrief and coaching session with Aquila. And that is worth its weight in gold. And so you will also be able to learn about what your drivers are. Where does your energy come from to allow you to be able to, pardon the pun, but kickstart the beginning of wellness and health. Aquila, you're dying to say something. So
I am dying to say something. You know me so well. I'm saying I really enjoyed this conversation with Marilyn. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering if we could invite her back together with Afan to talk about that leadership from two people who know and use motivational maps and the different points of view. I think that would be a most interesting conversation. What do you think?
I would love that. Marilyn, would you be interested in coming back?
Absolutely. I feel like there's so much more we could have gone into. So yeah.
I know. I love this idea. And I would also say, I'd love to invite you back just to do a part 2.
Another one,
because,
yes.
Yeah, because I do think that there's a lot, I think definitely with Afan and then you separately, because there's so much richness in really how we as leaders, whether it's business owners, professionals, leaders within organizations, can really be able to support our own health and wellness as we develop our careers.
Absolutely. It is my passion, and this does not take a lot of energy because I love it. And
Well, Marilyn, one last thing before I let you go. If someone who's listening to this says, I need to connect with her, how can they find you?
Well, easy to find me on LinkedIn. So Marilyn Whitty on LinkedIn. VitalityWithMarilyn.com is my website, and also has access to all of my socials, so Instagram and all that. But LinkedIn, I'm very connected there.
Perfect. Thank you
Marilyn.
So much for today.
Thank you as well, Marie. You always do a fantastic job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, everyone. I hope this was enjoyable.